Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. This is our first day on the job, and what we're going to be doing is replacing this concrete driveway ribbons. We're going to make it a full width driveway instead of just the runners for the tires to go up of the vehicle. Also, we're just going to have a low boy dropped off on the job site. We'll load this out. Should be able to get it all out with one of these containers. Also, on one side of the driveway, because the lawn is raised, we're going to put a little monolithic poured in place concrete curb to retain that height of the lawn there. Since we're widening the driveway, we're going to cut the existing curb and we're going to move the new retainer all the way over to here and then shoot it up towards the house on one side of the driveway. There's kind of the paint outline. That's what we thought was the property line where we put that paint, but it turns out it's actually another foot or 18 inches over from that. But we're going to put it back pretty much right where it was on this side, but we're going to go a lot wider in the other direction, all the way to the corner of the house. So this concrete's coming out real easy, as you can see. It's about, I would say, looks to me to be about 80 years old. We're going to make that slope a little more gentle driving into the actual driveway. That way, if you get a vehicle that has a real low profile, you're not as likely to bottom out. So that's how I like to get curbs out. Dig out behind them, and then they just fall right over. So the depth on the driveway, we're going to go 4 inches deep. We're going to use a 3000 psi. We're going to use a number 3 rebar on 2-foot centers, and then also I'm going to add a fiber mesh to the mix when it arrives on site. Here's that little poured in place curb to retain the front yard. I'm not going to rip. You could potentially rip this 2x8 and start at 8 to 0, but we'll just hang it full height, maybe get another use out of this board somewhere else, and we'll just freehand it from the back side of the other form that is set to grade. So now this is the day of the pour. We've already saturated this pretty heavy, let it set overnight. This is the next morning, and it's all dried out fairly well. I just hit it a little, got it moist again. These holes you see I dug under is just my keyway. I'm locking it in underneath the city sidewalk. You see those holes? It locks it in there, and it locks it in underneath the existing driveway portion at the other end. That way they can't change levels. A lot of times that'll happen. Overwatering and stuff like that will cause them to start shifting or raising. When you lock them in with that keyway, that prevents that from happening. And you can see the rebar, once we raise it up, it doesn't really sink down. So it's staying there at this point. Well, this is a pretty stiff mix, which is the way I like it. I've got a 12-foot aluminum 2x4 there. So this driveway is about a little over 13 feet, about 13 and a half feet. Now I'm bow floating it perpendicular to the way the rod board was running. That's how you really assure that you're going to get a nice flat surface. If you were to bow float this the other direction, the same direction as the rod, you'd just be going up and down, not really getting it flat. That particular Fresno is actually 5 foot wide. Now we're just going to start laying out some joints here. We're going to put one joint, a control joint, which controls cracking. The idea is you make a weak point in the concrete, and then when the concrete wants to crack, it cracks in that location because that's the thinnest area at this point once you run a joint in there. So we've got one down the middle, and then we've got two across. So we've got about 8 by 8, 8 by 6 sections. Hi, we're on the job site, and you know, I've been wearing these Ariat boots for about, I guess, 6 months now. I really liked them, and Juan, my concrete finisher that comes out sometimes, wanted a pair, so I ended up getting him some boots just like mine. He's been wearing them about a week now. What did you think about them, Juan?
Me gustan mucho estos zapatos, están muy confortables, no te cansas, puedes pisar clavos sin ningún problema, puedes trabajar en el cemento con ningún problema, puedes trabajar más de 8 horas, no te cansas.
Bueno for football?
Yes, you can play football too. You can play basketball if you want.
Yeah.
That's really, those shoes are really comfortable.
All right, thanks, Juan. Catch you later. So he really liked those boots. Now what we have is just a walking joiner, 3/4 deep, 1/2 inch radius. We had a lot of neighbors coming over throughout this job that were interested in some work. We've got it all jointed out. Now I'm running a funny trowel over it. Now here's an interesting tool. It's a weight. He took a weight, you know, that you work out with, and then he just slipped it around the adapter to the joiner, and it worked out beautifully. We didn't even have to go out here with straight edges, hand joiners. Just threw a weight on there and hit it late, and it stayed nice and straight. That happened to be a 5-pound weight. And now I just run the funny trowel one more time to kind of knock out any lines that joiner may have left, and then it's basically ready to broom. No knee boards really necessary because we hit this, you know, the timing of everything was right on, so really saved us a lot of extra work. Although Juan just doesn't feel right unless he gets out there on a knee board. It doesn't seem like it's complete until he knee boards it, so he jumped out there anyway. And then I just broke out the 50% nylon, 50% horsehair, and started putting the final finish on it. That's what makes it a non-slip broom texture. And you want that, especially coming up this hill. Look at those sliders go down the hill all by themselves. Fiberglass sliders may not do that. Not as easily anyway. There's the retainer. We also had a rep out here from Tomahawk, which provided me with the sprayer that you're going to be seeing here real soon. It's a little 2-stroke motor with a backpack sprayer. I'm going to be putting some concrete curing compound on here, and it really sprays it nicely. There's the curing compound that I'm using. Now this is a pretty big tank on here, and I don't fill it up because it just gets too heavy. I put about 2 gallons, 3 gallons max. But this thing blows about 500 psi. So even as thick as this curing compound is, it puts it down in a fine mist. It'll do that with top cast as well, which gives you the sand finish. Well, that's all there is to it. Now, by curing it, what that does is holds the moisture in the concrete, so it doesn't cure out too quickly. So you end up with a stronger product in the end. So this is the next morning. We're just stripping her out. Stripped all the forms out, put a little topsoil in around the edges. Water all drained off beautifully. Nice clean joints. Well, thank you for watching and have a good day.